There's nowhere to run. And no time to take cover. There's no way to escape. The adrenaline rush hour. Coming up, rally car fans get too close to the action. Plus, a shark whisperer gets intimate and goes from chummy to bait. And later, drivers panic when two race boats play leapfrog. So hang on for dear life. You are about to experience the most dangerous moments ever caught on tape. Strap yourself in for the adrenaline rush hour. Monterey, California. Superbike racer Jamie Hacking makes his living as a stunt rider, hanging off a speeding motorcycle, mere inches from the asphalt. It's a dangerous game. If your timing is off. Jamie's rear wheel skids only a tiny bit. But at 165 miles an hour, that's all it takes. He fights to hang on. But it's too late. The alarmed crowd watches Jamie lying completely still on the ground. Then, an arm twitch. He's alive.
I didn't know where I was. I was dazed and a little confused at what just happened.
But one thing is clear.
I knew I was pushing the bike way beyond its limits. I'm just hanging on for dear life. I don't know if I'm gonna make it through this thing or not.
When the cloud of dust settles, Jamie has barely suffered a scratch. And he's ready to do it all again.
I go there to win races. You want to be the champion.
Now more than ever, this champ is aware of the risks.
I remember just tumbling across the ground. Hand, fist, and feet and head, and it just never ended. It knocked me for a pretty good loop.
Toronto, Canada. 2.5 million people are quietly sleeping.
I don't know. There's some kind of huge explosion happening.
A deafening blast rocks the night.
I have no idea what the is going on. 4 a.m. and this huge explosion.
College student Ruben Tumangill races into the streets. Then, another blast. This one shattering windows 12 blocks away.
Wow. That is insane. All these windows are busted.
You can actually feel the explosions happening. You feel the air pressure trying to push you down.
You guys know what's happening?
To me, looks like a plane crash now.
Holy, that's a huge fire. What the hell? Holy crap.
I was telling people, we should really leave. We need to get out of here because we don't know what's going to happen next. Whether it be another big explosion that could possibly kill me.
What no one realizes is that a propane depot is on fire. And Tank after tank is exploding. In the worst explosion yet, a thundering shockwave erupts. 100,000 gallons of propane ignite, lighting up the city with a pillar of fire. Police scramble to evacuate 12,000 neighborhood residents, fearing another blast. It takes 200 firefighters 16 hours to extinguish the blaze. 100 homes are damaged in the disaster, leaving locals shaken for days.
I was concerned about my life and also concerned about the life of others, you know. I was like, oh my God, this thing is huge.
It's a remarkable end to a terrifying night, when a city was jolted awake to find a living nightmare. Lake Kissimmee, Florida. At the state championship powerboat race, a husband and wife team navigates the Lady Hustler. The woman at the wheel has never raced before, so the man tries to micromanage her every move. But this husband's nitpicking is about to cause more than a marital spat.
Jump over his way. Turn. Straight now.
The backseat driver's constant bickering leads the novice skipper to overcorrect.
Straight now.
She yanks the wheel to the right, and she's thrown with such force that her seat gets ripped out from under her. Now it'll take a rescue helicopter to save this marriage, after they nearly found themselves lost at sea. The small town of Aurora, Nebraska is pounded by a supercell sweeping across the plains. Excited storm chasers converge on outlying country roads and arrive just in time to witness the ominous signs of a massive cyclone forming.
Being close to a tornado just gets your adrenaline pumping pretty good. It's pretty much the only time that I really feel alive.
Oh, you can hear it howling. Huge tornado.
Chasing that adrenaline rush, the friends inch dangerously close to the swirling vortex.
That's getting big.
Kind of looks like a glorified dust devil when you first see it. And then I saw it whip up, just really fast.
Huge tornado on the ground.
They're suddenly face to face with a massive twister, and it's growing larger.
It's gotta be a quarter mile away.
As the guys move to a better vantage point, the base of the funnel dramatically expands. And when the weather junkies stop to shoot stills,
Oh my gosh.
they find the wall of debris is charging right at them.
There's all these things going through your head. Your hands are shaking, your head's spinning. You're like, am I really seeing this right now? It's just a very intense moment.
Get out of the car.
The group races away from the titanic whirlwind ripping through the fields. Just behind them, the intense gale snaps a power line pole.
Get out of the car. Camera, give me the camera.
Continuing to push their luck, they stay on the twister's tail,
It's huge.
playing a dangerous game of cat and mouse. Suddenly, they roll within 400 yards of a pet food plant and witness the full fury of the tornado's 200-mile-an-hour winds.
It's tearing this building apart! Literally in front of my eyes, look at this! It is tearing this building apart! I am literally 400 yards away from it! It just ripped the roof off this building!
Tattered debris hangs from the wrecked building as the storm chasers continue the pursuit. But up ahead, the chase comes to an end.
Oh no, we got power lines now! This is bad!
They're stopped cold by live power lines across the roadway. Fortunately, the raging tornado soon dissipates. Despite all the damage left in the twister's wake, not a single injury is reported. As for the storm fanatics, the danger isn't enough to curb their passion.
That's what we live for. That's why we wake up every day, you know? We're thinking about the next setup. When can we chase?
With a little caution, hopefully they'll live to chase again.
Huge tornado on the ground! It is tearing the building apart!
Coming up later, a construction worker brings the house down. And right after the break, a skydiver invents a radical new stunt. But what happens when he misses his landing on the adrenaline rush hour? Zephyr Hills, Florida. TK Hayes and his buddies have amped up the stakes of skydiving with a little something they call pond swoops. If done right, the drag of the diver's foot creates a dramatic rooster tail. It's a move TK can usually do with ease. The daredevil makes his final turn, but he's flying too low and too fast. His body buckles as it plows into the shallow pond. TK's friends rush to his aid. He's alert, but in extreme pain. His neck is broken in 2 places.
Right away, I knew I was hurt. I'm laying on my back thinking, wow, did I ever get my bell rung? All I saw was ground, sky, water, and all I can think of is, God, will somebody make this stop, please?
In spite of his severe injuries, the adrenaline junkie recovers and returns to the drop zone to dive again.
We're all capable of making little mistakes. In skydiving, those small mistakes have grave, grave consequences.
Hopefully he'll leave the pond swoops to his pals after this jump landed him in the hospital. Hamilton, Ontario. Tony Hammond works the late shift at a service station. Just as he walks out to pump some gas, a masked marauder busts in, but with no one there to rob.
Hello?
He's at a loss.
Hello?
Through the window, Tony can't believe what he's seeing.
He stands around and waits a minute and a half for someone to come out and point the gun at.
The clueless crook doesn't even attempt to break into the untended register.
Hello?
The robber is obviously not the brightest bulb in the drawer. He's definitely an idiot.
When the store's owner finally arrives,
Give your money now.
the robber tries to scare him.
Give me my money.
But the old man calmly bangs on the glass for Tony's help. The boss suspects the crook is all bark
Give me the money!
and no bite. And he's willing to take a life or death gamble on his suspicion. As Tony fights for the piece, it turns out it's a piece of plastic.
Give me the money!
Finally, the manager wrestles the phony gun away, and the criminal breaks down.
The moment we get the gun off him, he goes from being this kind of blowhard, brave guy
No, let me go!
to basically he wants to run home and crawl under his bed and cry for mommy.
Tony rips the bandit's mask off. Now he squirms and whines like a scared animal. As the hood scrambles for the door, Tony tries to take him down.
I gotta knock him out here. I go for that haymaker punch. The punch misses, and he squirms away and gets out the door.
The culprit slips away. He hasn't made any money, just a huge mess. This thief came on like a big shot.
Give me the money!
But his tough guy act was as fake as his toy gun. At Switzerland's Grenchen Airport, a helicopter pilot comes in for a close landing. He tries his best for a tight touchdown. Only one skid settles on the platform. As the whirling blades thrash against the pavement, they splinter into thousands of jagged pieces. The airman is helpless as his vehicle disintegrates around him. Outside, ground personnel are forced to dodge flying shrapnel. Fire crews are shocked to find the pilot with only minor injuries, thanks to his safety belt. Fortunately, the only casualty of this devastating tailspin was the chopper itself. The Elbow Reef in Key Largo, Florida. Professional diver Dave Marcel offers tourists something most guides don't. Intimate encounters with sea creatures most people fear. Like the 300-pound nurse shark. Dave believes that the key to the predator's heart is physical affection.
It's just like holding a little child. They just relax. Their entire body just kind of goes limp. They enjoy being petted. They love it. I also get the odd reaction, wow, you're an idiot.
The shark whisperer is so confident in his technique that he even lets a little kid try it. But the real show comes when Dave does his favorite trick, a full-on kiss on the mouth.
Just a little job well done. Thanks for coming by. Happy to see you. Sort of a smooch on the snout.
He's puckered up for hundreds of these killers over the years. For the first time ever, Dave feels the sting of rejection. The problem starts when he tries something he hasn't done before, flipping the fish. A shark's eyes are on top of its head, making it impossible for the animal to see Dave as he comes in for the smooch.
He assumed I was giving him a piece of fish. and he acted accordingly.
Thinking Dave is dinner, the beast sinks 500 razor-sharp teeth into his lips. Dave is in agony, but lucky for him, the nurse shark loses interest.
He spit me out. I guess he said I didn't taste good.
Nevertheless, the playful peck costs Dave a whopping 285 stitches.
It was like a firecracker going off on my mouth. It hurt pretty bad.
But 3 days later, the undersea Don Juan is back for more antics.
You cannot be a wild animal handler without having the expectation that you will get bitten. It's part of the job.
Later on, boxers trade blows, but the real violence is in the audience. And just seconds away, a car crash that looks impossible to survive. On the adrenaline rush hour. Standing on the sidelines of a rally race gives home videographers a thrill that's up close and personal. Sometimes too close and too personal. In PEX Hungary, a slalom of tires adds a challenge to the high-speed checkpoint race. These fans have the perfect seats to take snaps of every twist and turn and every disaster. The rally driver takes the turn too wide. He overcorrects with devastating results. Officials barely escape the flying debris. Luckily, the racer is buffered by roll cages and driving gear. But spectators at another race aren't offered the same protection. At Hungary's Fehérvár Rally, this fan regrets his decision to jump the gate. He tries to outrun the skidding missile, but in the wrong direction. Thankfully, he's not hurt. But at yet another race in Poland, it's not the bystanders who should be worried. Spectators record as the racer tries to make the sharp turn and ends up remodeling this barn. And he's not the only one. In the end, all of these full-throttle crashes prove the danger of this style of racing. Whether behind the wheel or on the ground. Portland, Oregon.
Nate Frecken on the outside.
Nate Frecken struggles to pull ahead during an intense free-for-all on a 45-degree track.
On the front, Nate Frecken's kind of using the elbow that time, defending his position.
Being too steep, too close, and too fast may be a recipe for disaster. When two riders lock wheels at the front of the pack, their clash starts a chain reaction, and Nate gets the worst of it.
Everybody's down.
There's no option to hit the brakes on a track bike because there's no brakes. You just have to keep going as fast as possible. It sometimes, speed's the answer. Roughly 6 or 7 seconds later, I woke up on the ground, not remembering how I got down the track.
Figure out, looks like several of the riders up and moving.
The smash-up leaves Nate uninjured. And before long, he's ready to race again. Now he's more aware than ever that someone else's mistake could be his downfall. Valparaiso, Florida. Construction crews labor on a massive refurbishing of an abandoned theater. Jack Lilly hacks at the roof with a chainsaw when co-workers notice the supports beginning to buckle. Over the roar of his chainsaw, Jack is oblivious to their warnings. Just as he finally starts down the ladder, by the time the roof starts caving in, Jack's only option is to jump for safety. The laborer takes a perilous 20-foot plunge as the building comes down around him.
Okay?
Nobody knows if he's dead or alive. Then, from out of the debris, he appears.
You okay? Yeah.
Jack is shaken up, realizing how close he came to injury, or worse.
If I hadn't gotten off the ladder, I believe the weight of the wall was sufficient enough to take my arm off.
Thank God the bricks didn't get it.
My arm got bruised pretty good, swelled up about the size of a softball, turned all different colors. But it wasn't that bad.
Bossier City, Louisiana. Hockey players do what they do best: brawl. Irate about losing, one hot-tempered stick swinger tries to settle the score with a body slam. And that's all it takes to ignite a bench-clearing free-for-all.
Oh, we're going to have suspension from this one. We've got a disaster on our hands. Oh, my goodness. That's a melee like I have not seen in a long, long time.
As officials struggle to put a stop to this punch-up, the opposing goalies face off at center ice.
Continue to dance around at center. Get ready. And the goalie's finally squared off. Here they go in center. The goalie's fighting now.
The goalies take the rumble into overtime.
And they break apart here. Everybody else starting to slow down. The goalies are separated for the moment.
In all, the players rack up a record 7 suspensions. When tempers flared at this hockey game, the hot-headed rivals ended up on ice.
Light buddy. Who else is that over there? I can't even see who's all who anymore.
Later on, firefighters battling a volatile blaze get an explosive surprise. But first, an airshow stunt spirals toward disaster. Will the pilot's nosedive be his swan song on the adrenaline rush hour? Lake Wolfgang, Austria. Pilots at the Scolaria Air Challenge wow fans by defying death. The centerpiece of the event is a vintage biplane. But when the aircraft's engine suddenly dies, the pilot performs the most shocking stunt of all. Without warning, The plane nosedives toward the lake. Spectators don't realize the high-speed downfall isn't part of the show. Until the plane smashes into the water, just a few feet from nearby boaters. As they stare in awe at the wreckage, it's clear to everyone that they've just witnessed a grisly accident. It's only then that they learn the pilot's fate. He has fractured a vertebrae, but he's alive. This aerial daredevil tried to outmaneuver his competitors, but his biggest rival was gravity. In the buck and tumble world of rodeo, sometimes a bull's name is all you need to know. In Chihuahua, Mexico, a challenger sits atop a beast named Sick and Twisted. And this animal's about to live up to his name. When the rider's leg catches in the stirrup, he dangles like a cowbell and gets rung by a massive smash to the head. Now, Sick and Twisted does a two-step on his unconscious rival, until wranglers rescue the man from the beating. In Monterrey, Mexico, a steer named Prima Donna takes to the ring with his cowboy co-star. But the twisted tyrant doesn't like sharing the stage. The would-be rodeo idol survives his time in the limelight with no injuries, except to his ego. Nobody has given a handle to pro rider Chris Minx's opponent, but the one-ton terror is about to make a name for himself. Just shy of a qualifying 8 seconds, the bull wins the match. But he wants to make sure Chris gets the point.
He caught me in between the legs and landed on my head. My hat came over my eyes. I didn't know where I was. And I was trying to crawl away, and actually I was crawling towards the bull, and he came and hit me in the mouth with his horn. And it knocked me straight up, like standing straight up, and then he hit me in the ribs. Since the bull broke my ribs, I think we should have named the bull Rib Splitter.
No matter what they're called in the ring, to these unlucky rodeo riders, a bull will always be known as a pain in the neck. Cape Town, South Africa, as a 10-round match heats up. One boxer's about to hit the deck. But today, he won't be alone.
Well, I don't believe this. We've had gunshots in the hall.
No one is sure where the gunfire is coming from.
Shots are still continuing.
People race for the exit and take cover under anything that might shield them from the bullets.
Our own crew had to dive under the ring along with most of the spectators.
The shooters blend in amid the mass panic. At any moment, they could strike again.
There's chaos here.
After a few minutes, everyone thinks it's safe to come out of hiding.
It seems as if it's over.
But they're wrong.
And another gunshot.
The shooting starts again, causing a stampede for the door. It turns out a team of robbers were trying to steal from the entry gate. By now, they're gone, and the fans can finally relax. These people had ringside seats to a real nail-biter. But this fight was for their own survival.
And another gunshot goes
Another
up.
gunshot.
Hang on. Coming up later, when Speedboat spectators get a close-up view of the strangest crash they've ever seen. But before then, a daredevil skis backwards and heads full speed into disaster on the adrenaline rush hour. June Mountain, California. Every time he straps on a pair of skis, Chris Benchetler tries to hit a new personal best. But his latest stunt has him hitting rock bottom.
Oh my God!
Chris attempts a nearly impossible trick. He starts off backwards, planning to do a full rotation and a half. But he's going too fast for the fancy footwork. The ski patrol rushes to his side to find him alert, but in excruciating agony.
I woke up just holding my knee and screaming, and I broke my femur, so it was incredibly serious pain. As I gave it a 12 on a scale from 1 to 10. Once you start hitting a jump and you keep hitting it and you're feeling so confident in yourself, you kind of lose sight that you can get hurt. It was a horrible experience, but at the same respect, I think it brought me back down and made me realize I'm not invincible.
Atlanta, Georgia.
You are looking live at a car that is actually going the wrong way.
Running on rims, a car thief fishtails toward unsuspecting drivers. The shocked commuters swerve and bank in desperate attempts to avoid him. He thinks with the median between them, police can't touch him. Then, the renegade spots a cruiser on his side of the road, zeroing in on him fast. So he skids toward Plan B. And alongside an off-ramp,
Getting out of the car.
his luck runs out.
Oh, we just got hit by the cop car.
The patrolman can't stop in time. But that won't be the end of this pursuit.
They're now going to chase him on foot into some of the brush there.
The fugitive takes cover in the tree line. But officers still ferret him out and take him down.
You can see here live he's being apprehended by Atlanta police officers.
He thought he could swim upstream to escape the cops. But in the end, the only thing this criminal got was battered. Istanbul, Turkey. When an ironworks factory erupts in flames, firefighters spring into action. They pinpoint the source. A boiler filled with burning paint. Racing against time, rescuers stretch their hoses to the edge of the inferno. But getting too close to the blaze will have them feeling the heat. The unexpected blast engulfs one man. The rest run for their lives. A few feet closer to the explosion, and they could have been burned alive. Luckily, their gear protects them from the searing flames, and no one suffers major injuries. These emergency workers moved in to fight a fire But this time, the fire fought back. Up next, one of the oddest boat crashes ever will have spectators swimming for their lives on the Adrenaline Rush Hour. Seattle, Washington. Mark Webber rockets his unlimited hydroplane in a jam-packed boat expo. On turn 1, he'll skim right past a floating grandstand of spectator vessels. They're usually the best seats in the house. Today, they're in the front row of fear.
Boat just climbed up on top, and that's when my day became really bad.
It's an odd sight, but it's no laughing matter. As the other craft bears down hard on his roof, Mark's steering system snaps under 2 times its intended weight. The extra load submerges his cockpit. He's flying blind and headed full speed straight toward the terrified fans.
We have now 12,000 pounds of boat heading toward spectator fleet. No difference than when you're about ready to hit the wall in a race car track. I was running out of real estate.
The crowd has nowhere to turn. Mark cranks hard left, and using nothing but the drag of the boat, he finally brings the double-deck disaster to a stop. Just a second more, and he would have plowed into spectators. He comes within inches of a man swimming away for his life.
There's all these boats right in front of me, 5 feet away, 8 feet away, and a guy in a rubber raft jumping off the boat. And that's when I knew it was a close call.
It's the most unusual accident these veteran boaters have ever experienced. They're grateful it wasn't a deadly one. For them, or for their fans. There's no time for fear. And no room for error. When danger strikes, you've got to be ready. One false move, and you'll be the latest victim of the Adrenaline Rush Hour.